morning, everyone. Welcome to Monday Morning Messages. I'm Candace Smith. You did it. You're here. We all did it. So, congratulations. If no one has told you recently, you made it to another Monday. We all did. Hope you had a great week. We all know I don't remember my weeks, so I'm sure it was good. If it was crazy, I think I would know more. So I kind of take that as a win when there's no event that's so large that it, creates a lot of stress, and I easily remember it. So I guess that's a good thing. Today, what came to me was, excuse me, talking about, oh wow, that was more than I thought. Hold on. It's like, can you not do that? Today, I thought about speaking about acknowledgement, and I think it's something that can be underrated or maybe even unrecognized that you need or someone else needs, and that they wouldn't recognize it either. And I think we've all had a scenario. It could have been in the past, or it could be something that you're experiencing now, where you are either in a relationship where you're with someone, or if you're even speaking to someone and you just have a relationship with them, whether it's actually like a partnership or a family member or a friend, where you start to think that you're not recognized for your contributions. And this can be a slippery slope. And then one of the examples that I think of is when there is a partnership where you live with someone, and one person like works all day, they come home, the other person is not working, and they've taken the whole day to, like, maybe they have. In this example, the person has cleaned the house, or they're taking care of the yard or the children, or whatever that looks like. And so they've put in their own contribution. And the other person's been working all day, sort of listening to people and being in meetings, or maybe looking at spreadsheets, and they've put in their own contribution to the relationship. And or the other person could be working as well, and they come home both having expended their energy for what they think is the betterment of the relationship. So in that instance, you have two people who feel like, they can't wait to be recognized or acknowledged for what they've done that day. Because in their mind, I think, and I've certainly been here, I'm here now, but I've also been there, where you think that when you get home, or the other person gets home, or whatever that looks like, that there's going to be this acknowledgement of what you've dealt with that day. And I think the hardest part about that is, excuse me, there goes, like, people like, no, we're done. I think the hardest part about that is that you can't download everything that you've done for the past 8 hours since you've seen that person, or maybe since you've spoken to them. And this used to happen, like, my first marriage, we would travel a lot, and then he would come home, and I just couldn't, like, download everything that had happened in that time that they were away, that I had accomplished. And I didn't really want to, like, have this list of, like, look at all these great things that I did, because no one wants, for the most part, I think, some people don't want those forced compliments, like, oh, please notice that I did this, and they're like, oh, okay, good job. It doesn't feel the same as when someone notices it on their own. So even within a day, it's hard to want to come home and sorry, and I really hope the microphone is picking this up. It's really hard to articulate sometimes sort of what you've gone through. Like, if you had you had your work, and then you had conversations with maybe your parents or your siblings, or any other business maybe that you're dealing with, that you can't and maybe don't want to or have the time to really articulate all of those things that you've been through for that day, and but somehow you want that information to transfer to that other person so that they can just for a moment be in your shoes and understand what you've dealt with, because you also don't want to say, oh, look at all these things that I had to deal with today, and either poor me, or I need like a great job. So when those things happen when you're in a relationship, then you could start to harbor um, anger, because you're doing something that's not acknowledged, or resentment because you're doing it really for someone else. In the sort of scenario that I was thinking of, the one person's home, and they could have chosen something different. Like, oh, I could have just been, having a cocktail or reading a book or put my feet up. And I chose to, for the betterment of the relationship, you know, either, get what we needed, take care of the yard, do the laundry, clean. And if you have that choice, of course. I know a lot of us don't even have that choice. Um, but it's when you think that you're doing it for someone else and that they should notice, I think it's where it gets tricky, because then you have the expectation of acknowledgement. And not that it's wrong for you to expect that. I mean, I think we all want to be noticed for what we've done, pretty much the entire day. It would just be nice if someone followed us around and was like, great job, you got out of bed and didn't break something, and, you know, whatever that is. Great job on doing, washing your dish when you finish with it. So I think the idea is that it's really kind of goes both ways. That we give ourselves the opportunity to recognize in someone else what they're doing. And hopefully it may start a, well, that's not a process. I can't think of what it is. But if you're able to acknowledge something in someone else, even just like with a phone call, someone takes the time to call you, you may tend to sort of gloss over it or take it lightly, but truthfully, um, you say thank you for calling me. Like, you just want to acknowledge that they stopped and took the time to reach out to you. If it's a phone call that you really did enjoy and are appreciative that they reached out to you. Sometimes you're like, oh, I'll talk to you later. But, you know, having that, and that's kind of what happens, right? You start getting resentment or anger, you pull away, you don't talk as much, then it creates a further divide where you really do not want to acknowledge someone, because now you've gone far enough to where you're not going to give that compliment if they don't do it first. So I would say, really, go ahead and be that first person. From my experience, it is very freeing. And like in my, well, I'll say my first marriage. Oh, anyway, it, there was this instance that happened where it was like, he had done something for me, and he was just like, well, I did this for you, you're welcome. And it just dawned on me that I was like, I don't think I needed you to tell me what you've done for me. And then I wanted to come back and say, well, I've done all these things. So, I mean, where does it end? And it's not coming from a place of judgment that, he shouldn't have said that, or I shouldn't have felt the way I felt. It really just means that I think neither one of us understood how to communicate, or how desperately each of us needed to be acknowledged. And if it's something that you can step back from for a moment and recognize that either you need it for yourself, or that maybe you recognize that you really could allow yourself to give that to someone else. Because once you start, I don't know why I'm thinking of the word like compliment sandwich. I was like, why would I say that? But it's like you go, oh, you're great. The other person's like, oh, no, you're great. Hopefully. This is the ideal scenario. Now the other person's like, yeah, I'm awesome. And, you missed a spot. There are some other conversations that might need to be had, in my opinion. But if it sort of, softens that guard that, wow, I am recognized. And now that I'm recognized, I have the ability to sort of look around and see what this person is adding to the relationship. And again, it can be someone that you live with, or just that you have a relationship with. It could be over the phone, it could be long distance, it could be just be like, you don't, okay, some of us do, but live with our parents. But I picture speaking, to them on the phone. Um, but if you recognize within yourself, hey, this is not what I'm getting, and not that you would say it in a passing way, like, hey, you're welcome for those clean pants or something. That wouldn't be the way to start the conversation. But if you actually had a conversation like, hey, I'm sure that maybe I'm not saying all the things I can about what your day looks like, um, but I'm also feeling like I'm not recognized for what I'm doing, or two people work and like, that one person's job is like so much worse than the other person's. I experienced that as well. And, you're just like, man, what a day. And another person's like, oh, let me tell you. And you're like, well, I was kind of getting ready to tell you about my day, but you know what? Let's just see what happened. And it doesn't sound nearly as bad or dramatic as your day, you perceive your day to have been. So then you really get frustrated. So that's probably a whole nother like bag of chips. But I think if we can understand that there may be that need, or that, I don't want to say like lack or deficiency, but, and even if we need to do it for ourselves, you may have someone that acknowledges you, but if in your alone time and your downtime and sort of your own thoughts, you're not giving yourself the acknowledgement that you need for like, hey, great job, taking the high road, or having that conversation, or making choices that honor my body with, healthy choices with, food or whatever it is, exercise. So you also have the chance to acknowledge, just recognize that maybe you're not acknowledging yourself, and maybe other people are. But if you're having those conversations, sort of, um, your self talk, then it's going to be difficult to accept those from others, or really have those have a benefit for you, because maybe you're sort of tearing down what other people are trying to build up for you. So I will say it's not always external, but I can see some of those scenarios where they tend to be very common. And again, not from a place of judgment. It doesn't mean that the other person doesn't have it worse, or does, or is trying to, um, steal the spotlight or takes you for granted. It really starts with asking yourself, you know, have I told this person that it's important to me? Am I doing it for myself? And, are they doing it on purpose? And hopefully the chances are they are not. And so it's really just not judgment. It's that lack of communication, or that lack of understanding that we're all going through something, and whether it's tangible or not, whether you can point to like, and sometimes we want to, right? We want to say like, look at this, all this stuff that's happened. But when it's just a feeling, it's just the way you feel, and you can't necessarily articulate it or want to really talk about it, and that's where it gets tricky. And so you want to be acknowledged for that, and the way that you feel, and the things that you are doing to improve yourself, and to look for ways to help others, or to be better, at the relationships that you're in. So I think that's just, yeah, that's probably it. Just something to think about, where maybe you could be the first person to acknowledge that, and see how it feels to stop and listen to that person's side of things. And then it kind of fills up their cup enough to where they have the chance to stop and think about someone else. But, it is true. We do have so much that goes on in our lives, and we don't always talk about it. And even if we don't talk about it, we may not even recognize it enough to know that it's something that's kind of going on in the background, which is why, we talked about before, like sort of sorting the laundry before you start your day. A lot of things will come out of that you didn't realize were sort of circling in the background, or that were maybe still bothering you, or that you were concerned about. So trying to find tools and resources for your own self-care will allow you to know more about what's important to you, what you're finding difficult to move through, so that when other people are interacting with you, you don't mistake something they're not giving you for something that really you're not giving yourself. And if you can start there, then you have the chance to allow the acknowledgement and the gratitude to extend out from there. But you would need to start, really with yourself and check in to make sure that you're speaking to yourself in a way that's very respectful and very loving. Otherwise, no outside person is going to be able to give you enough of that to make you feel like you're important and you're enough and you're really, doing everything that you think that you can. So I hope this was helpful. Have an amazing day today. We did it. I'm so excited because, it's just a whole nother week of fun. And then, have a great day. Don't work this week, work your week. And I will talk to you guys soon. Have a great week. Bye.